when I perform, I get excited and I feel so honored to be able to give this gift. And I didn't know that I would ever get that same feeling anywhere else professionally in my life. And here I was getting it from advising. I think I realized at a certain point in my life that that we all have different faces and different aspects of ourselves. And I knew that I was a teacher. I knew that that was a part of my life that was a big area, and my family was a big part of my life, obviously. And that I realized that there has to be a balance. And I realized that the theater was that third thing, that when that wasn't part of the equation, then the other things faltered. I wasn't as great a teacher if I didn't have that outlet to perform for people and change lives that way. And I wasn't the best father or the best husband or the best brother or the best friend when that performance part wasn't being met. And so I think there was a part of my life about, 15 years ago that I realized that I needed to have that balance so that all parts of me would be at the best level they could be. 3 years ago, when the pandemic hit us, I realized that I didn't have that outlet. I didn't have that artistic area to make myself balanced. I hate using that word, but it seems like it's appropriate. And so I wanted to get back to the community in a way and perform again. So I partnered with the Penobscot Theater in Bangor to create a show called Dishin' in Drag.
Hello, friends and enemies. No reason to worry or buckle at the knees. Who am I? What's my name? Priscilla Poppycocks, and it's my game.
Which was a moment for me to do a Zoom show with actors, directors, designers from all over the country who had worked at the Penobscot Theater in Bangor, to bring them together in a Zoom talk show where we would just talk about our experiences in theater at the Penobscot Theater and what it was like to be part of this community and what the show was like. And I had it in my head that the host should be in drag.
Oh, hello, my kittens! How are you?
I said, why not? Let's see what it does. And in that process, it took off. I realized so many people were watching it. Thousands of people across Maine and across the country, and even some people in Canada and England were watching it. So I began to really dive into the show and the production of it. And I realized halfway through that this drag personality needed a name. And I think that that's when I began to take ownership of what this was in my life. It wasn't just a persona that was doing a talk show, but this character was part of me, and she had a journey and a story that needed to be told. And so I named her Priscilla Poppycocks, and it's part of my heritage. Priscilla is my father's mother's first name, so that's where it came part of the story. And then Poppycocks is a British term. I'm British, so it's a British term meaning senseless talk, which seemed appropriate for Priscilla. But also I knew that I wanted to include Poppy in it because that's what my son calls me. He calls me Pop Pop. And I wanted to make sure that this character was my heritage. It had a part of everything that was about me. And so Priscilla Poppycocks was born. I realized that people were watching Dishin' in Drag to learn about the theater and the designers, but they were also watching it because they were interested in who Priscilla was and what she meant. And I realized that in that process, people in this community needed to see someone different, someone like them. And they started messaging me and started asking to Zoom with me one-on-one to learn about drag and learn about the culture and the art of drag. And they would start Zooming with me while I was preparing for the show, while I was putting makeup on and getting into the character. They would Zoom and watch and talk and ask questions. And parents started emailing me and asking, how can I talk to my child about this? And then schools contacted me and asked, could you speak to our students about drag and being different and what that means in your life? And I think I just realized, yes, if I can help, yes. And little did I know that Priscilla was helping me. I realized in the process that I started to write her story. Which was my story, right? So I started writing a one-person show called Livin' for Drag. And it's the story of Dominick's life mixed in with Priscilla's, and how all those hardships and all those wins and losses and struggles make us who we are. I make sure that no matter what role I'm doing, that I'm challenged by it. I don't want to take a role that just seems obvious or simple. I want to make sure, whether it's an accent, whether it's working with a new director or a new choreographer, or maybe it's a different mode of artistic visions. Maybe it's black box, maybe it's a proscenium stage, maybe it's a touring show. Any role I take on, I want to make sure that it's challenging me artistically. 2005, I became an advisor for a program called Explorations, which, in the process of taking the position, I learned what it was. This new program was highlighting academic advising. It wasn't just someone that picked your classes. It was someone who taught a class with you every single week. You said that you saw them every week, and then you had one-on-one meetings that you met with your academic advisor every single week. And I like to call it intrusive advising. It wasn't just about what classes you're going to take next semester. It was, how are you doing? How are your classes? What's going on at home? How is your roommate? Are you eating? Are you washing your clothes? Like, it became a cultural change. It became this phenomenon where academic advising wasn't just picking classes, it was advising and supporting the whole human in their process in college, because it's the first time in life that everything's different, right? You might have a roommate for the first time, or you might be doing your own laundry for the first time, or you might be waking up on your own for the first time every morning. And so I was just honored and excited to take on this role where I was going to help a student navigate this incredible journey that they've chosen to do. And so in the program, I was supervised by a woman, Ethel Hill, and she taught me everything I know. She was a UMaine black bear through and through, and I stayed with her and that program until she retired. And in that program, I got the opportunity to take control. I began to have responsibilities where I created 2 new programs at UMaine called Foundations and the Academic Recovery Program, which was even more intrusive advising and more academic support to make sure a student can be successful. And I think there was a moment in those years where I was working with Ethel and working intrusively with these students that 4 years after I worked with my first student, I remember him graduating, one specific student. I remember him graduating and coming back and seeing me and being so grateful, and we had an amazing relationship. And all of a sudden I had that like heartbeat, that flutter in my heart that I get when I perform on stage. I'm so lucky and privileged and grateful to have an extremely patient husband who is funny and smart and talented, to remind me that these breaks are essential. I'm one of these people that likes to work. I like to do the best I can in everything that I do. And he allows me to be a child when I come home, and it helps that we have a child who is perfect and dreamy and smart and talented and funny. And so basically, I have 2 kids, my husband and my child. Yes, so it's a privilege to have a family in this world that we live in today. And to be a gay couple, it's even more important for us to take such pride and value in the opportunity that we have before us. Our son came into our life 2 days after he was born, and he's been with no one else except my husband and I. And we went through the adoption process open-heartedly, terrified but hopeful, with more questions than answers. And the story of our son's adoption is beautiful and something I will never take for granted. And sorry, I just got lost thinking about that little guy. Sorry, I just need to like gather myself. I need hugs. I need kisses. I need story time. I need going for walks. I need making a mess in the kitchen or bath time in order to like balance all of the crazy in the world. Not that crazy is a bad thing. Some people are extremely productive and crazy, and there are moments I can be. But I like to relish in the moments with my family, to just take a breath and find the energy internally to continue to provide academic advising and performance. If I don't take a breath and relish in the love and joy in my home, then those other two things are never going to be the best they can be if I don't have those hugs and kisses in my house.